Good morning, Motorheads. Welcome back to Demoted.
Today we have a special guest with us in the studio. Her name's Katie O'Brien.
All of our guests are special, but Katie's extra special because she's kind of Hollywood.
She was recently the showrunner for the show The Z Suite that's on Tubi, and she tells us all about how a Hollywood set runs.
Today we're trying to break down Hollywood. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the glitz and the glamour of Hollywood, and Katie's going to come in here and she's going to break it all down and tell you all the truth.
How much does it cost to produce and make a show?
Are actors making a shitload of money or not? Not us.
What's the audition process like?
Sounds really fun. It isn't.
Demoted.
As Nat mentioned, Katie has done everything from concept of a show, bringing it all the way to life, which she has done with the Z Suite, which you can find today on Tubi.
Katie O'Brien, welcome to the pod.
We're going Hollywood today.
Thanks for having me. Let's go straight Hollywood.
We are going Hollywood. Our listeners are largely corporate men and women,
Heathens, sellouts,
bootlickers,
yeah,
all of the above. So our goal with this is to show them, like, what is Hollywood?
Their corporate jobs aren't so bad in comparison. I think Hollywood, I mean, you know, it's so glamorous from the outside, and everyone's like, oh my God, how cool. You're on shows. What it takes to build a show, start a show, write a show, fund a show. You've been through all of it. And so hopefully you can shed some light. We're calling this Hollywood 101 or Hollywood for Dummies, you know?
Love it.
And you're going to be the voice of that for us.
Yes, you will speak on behalf of Hollywood.
Okay, well, you know what? That makes sense. It makes sense that
does.
I would be the voice of Hollywood. Yes, I'm excited.
You've done it all. You've done it all at this point.
And tell us give us a little bit of an about you. We've obviously stalked you. We'll intro you outside of this, but like, who is Katie O'Brien? What's your story?
So I am an actor, a writer, a producer, and a showrunner. And I got into Hollywood by being an actor. I started wanting to be an actor. A little bit of a brag. I got into this through improv comedy.
Ooh. Love.
So I started in Chicago doing improv. And
is it Second City?
So yes, that is kind of correct. Second City is like the end all be all of improv comedy in Chicago. And I moved to Chicago to do Second City. But Second City is like really prestigious, and it like takes a long time to get on their stages. So I took classes at Second City, but I never actually was on their stages. I feel very responsible to like delineate that.
Well, we'll have to talk about that later because I almost moved there for the same thing to do their film school, and then decided to sell out entirely and go to business school instead.
You made the right decision.
So I called their admissions and I was like, hey guys, I'm losing my mind here. Like, I'm a creative at heart. I want to do this. But I also got into business school here, and they were like, hey, go to business school. And I was like, wow. Okay, you either think I'm terrible or, you don't value yourself as much as they used to. It's obviously changed with the internet and so forth. But
I think you made the right decision. Speaking of business, I have a very vivid memory of my uncle, because I went to college and I was studying English. And I was doing improv on the side. And my uncle was like, I think you should take business classes. He was like, I really think you should major in business. And I was like, what do you know? And now I look back and I'm like, oh, I should have majored in business.
Yeah.
I think it would have been really useful. Yeah.
Well, English isn't so bad. I mean, all the writing you do and so forth. I mean,
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I started as an English major as well. And then I changed majors 8 times. So then I found out I had ADD, but that's a separate story.
You know what? Sometimes it takes us 8 majors to figure that out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So what after Chicago? What next in your career?
So I was in Chicago and I was doing improvisational comedy there, but I also was going to school. I was just really determined. I saw a Second City show in high school and I fell in love with it. And I was like, I have to do this. But I came from, my family, they're very creative people, but like, I'm from Omaha. Like, we didn't know anybody who worked in entertainment. So like, this never felt like it was a job. So I was doing improv, but also going to school and really wanted to be an actor. And I was auditioning. I wasn't booking anything. I was in an improv group there called the Katydids. And we all met doing improv at Second City and Improv Olympic IO in Chicago. And we're all named Katie, or a variation of Katie. And that's how the group was formed. And then I can only speak for myself personally, but like I wasn't getting cast in anything. And I really wanted to be creative. And I was like, okay, how can I do this if I'm not getting cast, which listen, most people would be like, hey babe, you're not getting cast, so maybe figure out something else.
Yeah.
And that like never occurred to me. Like I was like, I got to figure out another way to do this. But anyways, we created a web series, and the web series was called Teachers. And it was this was sort of at the beginning of when web series were, they were around, but there weren't a ton. And we released it online, and then that ended up selling as a TV show. And so that was how I got into acting.
Gonna have to follow that path.
Yeah. So it was a lot of hard work, but it was also a really wonderful, it's kind of serendipitous thing.
How did you go? And the reason I'm asking is, so in a similar vein, you're like, how do I do this on my own? Like nobody's casting me. So you got to go out and do it on your own. Just like go out and make it happen. And so similarly, in fact, Natalie was in this. It was originally written as a TV series called SAD, which stands for Sales Are Dope. And then we're like, we're never going to get this made. So let's make it a web series. And that's what got Natalie to essentially, it's not the only reason you quit your job to come do this full time.
No, it is.
But similarly, we're like, okay, so how do we turn this into a TV show? So I think, obviously, I'm fascinated by this, and selfishly so. But how did that come about? Like, how does something go from a web series? I'm asking for myself, but I'm also asking because I think a lot of people, wonder how these things sort of take up. Broad City being a good example of another one that took off.
For us, we did this web series out of Chicago, and we had a Kickstarter and raised all this money and had a lot of incredible people in Chicago help us create this. And then we released it online, and we never thought, oh, this will be a TV show, or like maybe we'll sell this. Like that was never the goal. We released it. I left Chicago to come to LA to pursue acting, which again, you're like, hey, you were never cast in Chicago. Why don't you go to a
harder market?
Why don't you go to a bigger market? That makes sense. But so I left, and then it slowly started to get a bit of traction online. Yeah. And people started watching it. And then The Onion at the time reached out to us, and they were like, hey, what if we take some of these videos and release it on our site? So it started to get traction. And then one of the Katies was repped at WME, which is a talent agency. Yep. And WME saw the series and was like, oh, we should package this as a television show. So that's sort of how it got started. Was there were enough eyes on it where it was like, oh, this product works. Like there is something here because it is doing well on the internet. And so then they were like, okay, we'll sort of package this. And
what year is this?
This would have been like 2014.
Okay.
2014. And then, they packaged it. And they brought on Allison Brie as a executive producer, the actress. Yep. And she was really great and wonderful and cool. And we all were like, hey, girl. And like we would have a meeting with her, and she would show up in like a really cute dress. And then we would have another meeting with her, and one of us would be in the exact same dress she was wearing from the last
Stop
meeting.
it.
Yeah, that happened. So when they package it to sell it as a TV show, they don't really do packaging anymore, but they used to bring on an executive producer, and you basically then go and pitch the series to television networks. And we had a proof of concept in the web series, which helped a ton. I think if we didn't have that, I don't know that the show would have sold.
And you've mentioned a bunch of terms that obviously we become aware of as being on set a few times, but for the person watching this, like what is the difference between an executive producer, showrunner, director? Can you give us little Hollywood basics for the people listening?
Yes, I can. So the director directs the show and is sort of the vision for the show. They come in and, they're sort of setting up the shots for the show and working with the actors and directing the show.
They say action.
They say action.
They say action and they say cut.
Yep.
And that's really what it is.
Yep.
And the showrunner is a really interesting job. So the showrunner oversees the entire run of the show. And you're probably like, okay, but what does that mean? So they oversee the writer's room and write the show. So they staff. You're basically, actually, the best way to think of a showrunner is in business terms, you are the CEO of this company that is the show. Yep. So you are hiring everybody, you're bringing everybody on, you are basically managing the budget, you are doing everything. You're essentially the CEO. They oversee the writing of the show, they oversee the production of the show, and then they oversee post editing of the show. They kind of do everything. You're managing a company. essentially.
Right. Wow. And you, go ahead. And producers are.
Oh, producers are really tricky because that's a really great question. What does a producer do? And I have done this. Producers honestly run the gamut where sometimes they help with the production of the show and they come in and they sort of like assist and they can sort of be a creative hand in the show. And then sometimes shows have producers where it's like, oh, these people are just attached as producers, but they don't do anything. Sometimes they invest or they're somehow involved with the talent. So it kind of runs the gamut. It depends, but usually they have a hand in the creative process of the show and helping it get it on its feet.
Yeah, I was going to say it can often be used, and you alluded to it, is like a bargaining chip of film investors who so forth. Like, I want my name attached to this. I'm not going to do shit, but I'm going to give you a bunch of money. So I want to see my name there at the top, and it's like a nice, cool title to say that
producer credit.
You got. Then there's the producers that you mentioned that actually are in the weeds,
Yes.
And I think as someone right now who's trying to raise money for a film, there's plenty of producers who want to get in the weeds, and there's not a lot who want to raise money. Because there used to be a period of them raising money, right, to try and get these things off the ground. No one wants to raise money because it's hard and scary.
Very hard and scary.
It's hard and scary.
And you were the showrunner most recently on the Z Suite. And that's actually when we met was in the writer's room. I came on as like a consultant for the Z Suite writer's room to help give kind of a little corporate edge. I remember being asked, what is something you would do on a corporate retreat? And like just kind of the writers and were asking me, what do these corporate bootlickers do? So that's when I met you. And I actually recently went to the premiere of the Z Suite in New York and I saw you there, which was amazing. Can you tell us about the Z Suite? Tell us about your role there. It's an incredible show. I loved watching it and being a small part of it in the writer's room.
Yeah, I think framing this though is like the business piece. Like, how does a show go from concepts, like your idea, to on screen?
Yes. First of all, you were so helpful with the show. You were you were not a small part. You came in.
This millennial? This wannabe Gen Z millennial? No.
Yes. She was so helpful and had such great ideas and really thoughtful. And for us, it was so valuable because I don't know anything about the corporate world. I know nothing about. The show takes place in an ad agency, and we were sort of looking for somebody who, has done such great work with social media, and you were so helpful. But taking it from concept to it actually becoming a show. So essentially, you have networks or studios. So Fox, for example, the Z Suite is on Tubi, which is owned by Fox. If people don't know, Tubi is a free streaming service, and it's advertiser driven. And they're really interesting. This is their first original scripted series, so they're looking to get into the scripted space. They've done scripted films, but
because usually they acquire or license, right? Right.
Yeah, they acquire or license titles, and they're super interesting because I think this is correct. If not, this is close to correct. I think they have more subscribers and viewers behind YouTube, or right behind Netflix. Like they have more than Apple, Peacock, Hulu. They have an incredible subscriber base and viewership. Yep. So they were looking to get into the scripted space. So they were meeting with writers and reading writers. And they had read a script of mine, and I went and I met with them. And we were sort of chatting about what the show could be and what they were looking for. And we sort of were circling these two ideas that had to do with advertising and Gen Z. I think Gen Z because a lot of their viewers are Gen Z. Right. I think that was sort of a bucket that they wanted to hit. So we were sort of circling those things. And I was like, I think I have a take on this show. And so I went back and developed a pitch. And essentially, you just go back to them and you pitch out the show. So you pitch the characters, you pitch the world, ideas of episodes, and like what would happen over a season. And then
really briefly, Kate, you have a deck, right? So like I'm putting this in consulting terms, right? You've got your deck, you got your characters, and you're up at the board and you're walking through this. Right.
Yes, it would be no different than you were pitching a product in the corporate world, or if you were pitching, you have a deck, you have your key players that you're presenting, and you're sort of like, this is what the show would look like, and this is what it would be week to week. And fortunately, Tubi was like, okay, let's do this. And so traditionally then they order what's called a pilot. A pilot is the first episode of a television show. Yep. And I wrote a pilot for them. And they then greenlit it to series. So then we started a writer's room. And that's when Natalie came in and was incredibly helpful.
And that's really interesting that we hear a lot of startup founders who like raise money with barely a concept of an idea. And so you didn't have the beginning, middle, and end, all 8 episodes ready to go when you were pitching, right? What stage was it at?
The key components I had were the characters, the world, this would be at an advertising agency, an idea of week to week what you would be watching, like some episode ideas, and then a series arc that we would be following, where it's like, I think by the end of season 1, our characters would be in this place. The interesting thing, actually, that maybe is applicable to business, like where things really cross paths, I think. I have a lot of family in business. I will say this, and then you guys can go, that's not at all correct. But at this stage, especially in business or in sales, you are selling yourself to the network. You are selling your voice, and they are buying you really as a product. And it really is just like whatever that crazy chip is we have in our brain, where it's like, I'm going to make this work no matter what. And I am going to fake it till I make it. And I might not have all this figured out, but I'm going to make you. But like, you have to have somebody invest in your product and your idea, which is your show. And so that's really the big component here to kind of like land the plane.
Natalie and I were just on a panel we went to. So Natalie's boyfriend goes to Stanford. That's where I went to business school. So they brought Natalie and I back to, fancy, to speak on the like future of creative and so forth. And there was, trying to remember the woman's name, Danielle Sanchez, something hyphenated last name.
Wetzel.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was on the panel with us, and we were talking a lot about how it's all sales. Like at the end of the day,
sales.
And it's almost like delusional sales.
It is.
Of like you believe so hard,
Okay, bear with me on this example.
Please.
It's the worst example I could give. The worst example. It's such a red flag example. But my girl Elizabeth Holmes, who's in jail.
She sold
sales
it.
Queen.
She sold it.
Listen, did I get it? I was like, I get this. Like, I get selling something and believing in it so hard and being like, I will figure it out. I will figure it out as I go. Now, my girl didn't figure it out.
She didn't figure it out.
That was the fatal flaw. But I often feel that in my career of and actually improv was incredible training for this.
Yes.
To be like, we're on the fly. We're figuring this out. I will make this work. That is what a lot of this job is. But yeah, it's being so delusional that you're like, I feel like confidence, delusion can get you really, really far.
So far.
In Hollywood and business. I feel like... Yes.
And Adelphi.
Another one of my queens.
Another queen hero icon. Yes.
On my Mount Rushmore of women, it's Elizabeth Holmes and Adelphi.
Oh, God.
These are my gals.
Billy McFarlane, another.
Yeah, build a world of all these Mount Rushmore of Delulus.
Yes.
And let's see what we get. I think you could go teach a seminar right now on just being utterly delusional, because that's what it takes for us. And, there's some questionable things that happen sort of in that when you're forced to do something. What happens when good people are given a quota? Things. It's difficult.
Yep.
So yes, I think like that will resonate with a lot of our audience.
Can you talk about auditioning and having to put your pride aside and entering into a room and just being stared at? And sometimes
they're gonna call back. Trust me.
They didn't look at me because they know that they want me. They didn't even need to look at me up there.
Yep.
I can talk about it. It's a deeply, like, all of what you're saying is so true to me. Where, excuse me, I've left auditions and not booked roles, and I've literally been like, you know what? I think I was too good. And I think that
this is the delusion.
Ross and I say we're still waiting to hear back.
Yeah.
Like it's weird.
Oh, they're going to call. The movie came out 3 years ago, but I'm pretty sure we're
still waiting to hear back. Like they haven't decided yet.
I haven't gotten to know yet.
When like I used to send, emails to my agents and managers and be like, hey, have we heard anything? And it's like, I think you would have heard.
Yeah,
They would have told you.
If it was going to work out, they would have called.
People want responses when you get rejected from jobs nowadays, especially in the corporate world. Try auditioning, people.
Yes.
It is just ghost after ghost after the amount of things I've submitted and just like, well, I'm glad I did that. No feedback, nothing.
Nothing. It's interesting because, okay, so I will talk about the auditioning process, but then I do want to circle back, having been on this side of watching a lot of auditions and like not, never hearing anything. But yes, the auditioning process, if you ever just want to be stripped to your core of not even a human being, and just a nub of existence, audition.
Truly.
One time.
Truly. One time.
You don't even need to do it multiple times. You just do it one time. And you see, and now it's really hard too, because when I first was auditioning, you would go in person. Right. And you would be in a room and it was a little, and now it's like, I've got to see my dumb face and set up I've got to be a tech team. I've got to be a lighting team. It's like so much work. But you basically work really, really hard in an audition, and you spend hours and hours of your life, and you call up every friend you have and ask them to read lines with you and memorize this audition. You put yourself on tape, you send it in, and you never hear anything.
Annie and I recently signed with a manager to do some auditioning, just the auditioning part, not acting, just working on.
Yeah, just sign up to audition.
Just sign up to audition. I'll never hear back. But whenever we get the audition call from our manager, we're like, okay, we have to take now 3 full business days to do this, because
that's what I learned is don't do it.
Don't do it. It is so, we're like, all right, cancel everything, cancel all our plans, set up the tripod and get ready to cry, because this is going to be horrible.
My quick audition experience was for the Salesforce ad. It was 30 people on Zoom, all camera off, except for the director. So they're like, all right, we're going to go camera off. And I'm like standing far away. I'm like wearing a cowboy hat because this is like a train robbery scene. And the director would give he'd be like, stop. Now do this. Now deadpan. Now do it like you care.
Stop is the scariest thing ever. Stop.
And then I'm like, okay. And he's like, reset. And just command. He was like very Israeli guy. So like I'm used to it. Yeah. But just start, stop, reset. Now do it this way. Now do it this way. And you have this like image in your mind, the character you were trying to build. Nah, one shot at it, flip it.
Now he's British.
New. And they apologize. I was like, that's kind of what I expect now. Like you get nothing. Okay, thanks. Boom. 30 people disappeared on Zoom. They're all black screen. And I'm like,
you're just left by yourself.
Left in your thoughts. Yes, left in your silence. Like, wow.
What just happened? It's a little train wrecky. You're like,
totally.
It's like a car crash. It's
you're
like,
a zoo animal.
What just happened? Yeah, and then you're reading into the tiniest little thing where like somebody will be like, they'll be like, okay, thank you. And you'll be like, oh, they said thank you.
Yeah, right.
So that probably means
they're obsessed with me.
Yeah, he had me do it a lot of ways. I think he wanted to see my range. I know. He loved my range.
I think he's casting me for the lead, actually.
I'll take McConaughey's role.
Also, this is how delusional I am. Like because sometimes they give you a breakdown of like when the dates this would film. They'll be like, it's going to film, May, whatever. And like before I even audition, I'm like, I gotta make sure I'm not busy that week.
I'm canceling my bachelorette.
Yeah, Mom's birthday.
Yeah, I'll be on set.
That's out. Yeah. Sorry, Mom. I might get this role.
Like, 100% I'll be moving through the world and I'll be talking to people like, I probably won't be around in May because
I'll be on set.
Can't commit to that. I think it is. It's such a different world. It's like just nothing you can describe to anyone. And now we hear a lot of people talk about like, I don't even want to leave my house with like remote work. I'm so comfortable. I have my home office, my setup. I don't want to leave the house, go to an office. Like that's too big of an ask. I'm like, imagine standing in front of 12 people, turning to the side, lifting up your shirt, showing the back in front of your hands.
Yeah. They're like, don't say anything else.
Don't say anything else and
Ross
leave.
Pomerantz, 5'11", San Francisco.
Yes. Yeah. They're like, turn to the side. Yep. I'm like, oh, okay, great. They're shaming me.
Yes.
They're body shaming me.
Yes. Also, I do feel like it's such auditioning or improv. I always go back to if you really want to like become somebody who gets so beaten out of being embarrassed or like talking in front of people, or like I feel now I can go into, after years of auditioning and years of doing improv comedy and bad improv shows, I feel like there's no, like any situation I go into, I'm like, oh, I just don't have a humiliation radar.
That's great.
Anymore. It's been so beaten out of me. Like I've humiliated myself so many times in auditions or on stage in front of people that I'm just like, oh, this doesn't even register.
I won't even do stand up because I'm too afraid of a silent room.
I would just, stand up to me is a whole other beast.
It's a whole other beast.
Terrified. I just like one quick audition story. This was very early on when I first moved to LA, but I went to audition for a drama, which I should have never auditioned for in the first place. But I went in and this character was supposed to be in an earthquake. Fine. So I start. Yeah. Okay, that's exactly right. I start and I go, whoa. And they go, thank you.
Bye.
Never got to a line. Never got to it at all. Just me, which, listen, they were absolutely right. If you see if you see a young woman go, whoa, it's like, yeah, no, let's call it. We don't want to waste our time. So like leaving, I was like, have a great day. And it was like, oh, I bet they'll call. Whoa. And it's like, you never got to the lines, hon.
That's where I just walk straight into the sea. I just walk straight into the sea and I don't come back. I go live in Atlantis. I'll see you guys.
Put rocks in my pockets and I will go into the ocean.
I'll see you guys later.
To bring it back to the Z Suite and auditioning, and as you're watching these people audition, what was the clicking moment for you? What was like the key audition? Kriska is the lead. Maybe it's an example from her. Like anything that stands out in this audition process for the Z Suite for you?
Yes, things definitely stood out. And it's funny, kind of before getting to that, but to go back to when you were saying, you were like, we never get an email saying like, you didn't book this. It's interesting because being on this side of things, everyone you see is really great. You're seeing so many people and like you do want to email all of them and go, you're so great.
Right. I love you for caring about this project.
Don't give up. Yeah.
Literally, I want to get everybody's email and go, oh my gosh, like you are really talented, but like you're not right for this. And what did stand out to me was people who made really unique, big choices that like felt authentic to them as actors and were sort of making interesting choices that weren't for the sake of making an interesting choice, but it was like, oh, you approached this authentically from a place where like this was your take on the character. You made a choice that is different. You have the lines memorized. It was people that sort of just embodied this thing of like, this is my approach. This is what I'm going with. I think too, we initially cast off tape and then we had them come in and read. And I think a playfulness and a willingness to sort of just be like, okay, what do you need? Like, I mean, I would go into auditions and be so weird and wired like a shelter dog because I was just like so desperate to like get the role, which is off-putting. It's off-putting for people.
She's unhinged. She's completely lost her mind. She has trauma and we can see it.
Yeah, because I was so desperate. It really was like the definition of desperate energy. And same with pitching, or I'm sure in business, it's like people feel that and they don't 100%. Feel safe.
Yes.
100%. Salespeople who aren't at quota feel desperate. And you're like, I don't want that energy.
I'm interviewing for a role for my team right now. And someone came into the interview and like basically quoted back to me my entire channel and the job description. I'm like, okay, but what about you? Like, calm down. I don't care that you memorize this. It's so real though. When we feel nervous, we put on this whole show. You don't always have to.
And so similar with auditioning, the people who just felt like this was their 100th audition, they were here, they were doing this. This is my take it or leave it. See you later. That like those were sort of the people where I was like, oh, and then obviously you're looking for people that match the character that you have in your mind. Right. But yeah, that's kind of what stood out to me.
I'm curious because I think about like the audition we did for Mickey, Sarah. She was our first audition, and it was a crying scene. Like we would need to see some emotional range because there's like a crying by a dumpster scene, and she crushed it. And we had 30 more people, kind of just like that day to go, and we were all like, "Do we like it's her?" Yeah. But like we are also like, okay, don't be biased. Don't like just because the first one's like good. A lot of these people, like you said, are good. But how do you get past that first? Like similar to interviewing, right? It's like, you don't want to be biased on the first person if they're good, because then you've got to give everyone else a chance and like not. But we ended up going with her anyway. And I'm curious, like, do you just have people you're just like, guys, it's over. It's just done.
Yes, I've had people. It's interesting. I've had it both ways. I've had people where you come in, you go, well, there it is. Yeah. And it's like, this is who it is. And then it's interesting. I've also had people where they come in and I'm like, this is it. But like you said, I still have, 15 people in this waiting room that I've got to see.
Right.
I have been on projects on the past where I thought this was it. And then I'm like, okay, that's it. But let's see the rest of these people. And then somebody towards the tail end comes in and I'm like, oh, maybe this is it.
Right.
Sometimes there is that thing. It's like when you know, you know.
Yeah.
And that's undeniable. And then there are times where I've been like, let's just see and be a little bit more open. And I've been surprised.
What are the vibes in the waiting room for the audition?
Oh God, I can't even imagine.
We talk a lot about women supporting women. If I was looking at a bunch of women who look exactly like me and are probably more talented than me, I would be panicked. And I would probably immediately want to tear them down.
You'd get those pit stains sweat things
I would have
for
pit
yourself.
Stains. I'd be like, are we all just going to stay playful here? Like, oh my God, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's weird. And then you're kind of trying to make weird small talk because you're like, because it is this thing where it's like, yeah, like these people are your competition. Yeah. So internally you're like, like you're kind of tearing them down because you feel so insecure. So
totally.
It's like, and you're scared. So you're judging everybody, right?
Well, and we always say there's more, you can pull up a chair. There's not just one seat at the table. No, there is one seat at the table.
It's one seat.
There's one role.
There's one role. And I will tell you too, I initially, like earlier in my career, had this crazy energy where exactly what you're talking about. I would come in and be like, I was so not cool with who I was as a person that like I was judging everybody and being weird. But then I didn't want to be weird and judging people. So then I was like scooting up a chair and we're like, where are you getting your hair colored these days? And trying to make like weird small
Katie's
talk.
back to unhinged again.
Katie, you deranged freak. What are you doing in there?
Listen, I am the root of all my problems. If you think I have to live with me. I have to
Where
be
are
with
you
me
getting
all
your
the
hair
time.
colored?
Oh God, where did she come from?
I know. If it's not clear why I've always had to create my own material, it should be clear right now.
You're giving me so much faith in myself now.
It's like, okay, this is why. But I will say there is one seat at the table. However, there is something different that you are all bringing to that table. And the more you do it, and over time, you start to be really comfortable with the fact of like, you're not going to get every single one. It's a numbers game, similar to sales. It's like, you're going to go out on 500 of these, but you're just looking for the one. And you really have to be okay with the fact that like, not everyone is going to be the one. So you can chill out, you go in, you do your best job. If that's the one, great. If not, you keep it moving. I think sort of helped me get out of that.
This being a loosely business podcast, I'm curious about the economics of a show. A lot of people think, it's like, oh, you sold a show to Netflix, like it's over, you beat the game, like you're so rich. And it's like, I don't think you realize how little like even stars make in certain shows when they come up. Like I think about the Walking Dead cast, like a lot of them, it was their first thing and they were on for 8 seasons and they weren't making shit. It's the next things that are big. But I'm just curious for the show economics, just for people, because they're like, how do you make money? Like, where does the money come from? Like what is success, that type of thing? Yes,
I think everybody looks at actors or writers or directors and go, oh my gosh, exactly like you said, you have a show on Netflix, you probably are so rich and you're set for life and this is great. And the reality is, I'm just going to pick an arbitrary number. Let's say a lead actor of a show is making, let's just say $600,000. You're like, oh, that's a great year. That's a lot of money. Well, I live in California. So let's take that $600,000. Half of that is gone for taxes. So now I have $300,000. You're going to give 10% to your manager. So that goes away. Then you're going to give another 10% to your agents. Then you're going to give 5% to your lawyers. So you are left with
SAG, right?
Your union dues. So then you're going to pay your union dues. So that's $600,000 all of a sudden. And also you're living in a very expensive city. So it becomes very, very little. And why streaming it is becoming very difficult as you're no longer getting residuals like you used to on network, which was supplemental income. And because they're ordering less episodes for shows used to have 22 episodes. So if you're going down to however many, let's just say $150,000 that you're making off that one project, you could work other projects or there were more episodes. Now it's so small that actors are doing one thing a year if they're lucky. And that's really difficult then too. So it seems like a lot of money and it's really not. That's kind of how it breaks down. And sure, you can say, well, don't have an agent, don't have a manager. That's fine. You can go that way. Those people are helping you find work. So it really boils down to not a lot is coming in. So you have to hustle and have multiple projects going at the same time to become the person. I think the first thing is hard to get. I think the second thing is the hardest thing to get, like the second project. And then to build off there, that's when you can start to really become the person where it's like they're making the big bucks, but it's really touch and go.
What about the economics of the show?
Yeah, the show itself.
Like if a show costs, like you're like, we can pick arbitrary numbers here. I've got show XYZ. The production, you may go, let's just say Fox wants to develop it or Netflix wants to develop it. They may say the budget is this. How do they justify making money? Like, how does the show, like selling a show work? Like,
and if you want to say numbers, generally, how much does it cost to make a show?
I would say like a healthy half-hour comedy budget would probably be about $20 million.
Wow. For 8 episodes or?
For 8 episodes.
8 episodes, yeah.
Yeah. So usually it'll come out to be like 2.5 million an episode.
Yep.
In my position is like, that's a good budget.
Yep.
Like that's a healthy budget. Listen, they are always looking to do shows for much cheaper. They're always trying to pinch pennies. And then a lot of shows now are filming outside of the United States,
Yep.
are filming in Canada because of tax incentives. So your money goes farther, or Mexico or Europe. Because they're just great tax incentives there. But
By the way, everyone, SAD was $500K total. SAD was $500K total, everyone.
Incredible.
And everyone's like, oh my God, that's expensive. I'm like, I don't think you understand how expensive making something is, how ultra low budget.
I'm still waiting for Ross to pay me, so.
It's coming. It's in the mail. Think of it like an audition. It's coming.
It feels like an audition. I'm
coming.
waiting still,
it's
holding
coming.
out. Yeah.
I'm still waiting to pay me too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's coming. That's my favorite thing. You'll get it.
You'll get it soon.
It's coming. Yeah.
Okay, so
to create something of $500,000 is incredible. That's because people don't realize how much is going into this. I mean, you're paying an entire crew of people to, like on a show could be up to 150 people that you are paying. You're paying actors, you're paying costume designers, lighting, there's so much. And then you're also considering an editing process. So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
That's why TikTok is so much easier.
I know.
Thank you, TikTok. We love you.
I hate you, TikTok. God, I hate you.
Bless.
Just to bring it back to Gen Z in the workplace, one final kind of long form question here. What are your observations on the generational dynamics in the workplace? Any favorite scene about this generational dynamic that people should look out for, whether it was in the filming of it or... I know there were so many hilarious moments in the show.
I think in episode 6, there is a scene where I love where they are on a timeline of they have to come up with an advertising campaign, and one of them just sort of breaks down. It's like, I can't do this. And instead of continuing to work through it, they're like, you know what we need to do? We need to go to a party. It's like we need to go to a party and get out, and that will help us.
We should clear our heads.
Yes.
We should go do some drugs.
Yeah, there's another scene in episode 5 where they're just burnt out. They're emotionally burnt out. And so they order masseuses into the office just for themselves. Nobody else in the office is benefiting from this. So I think those are fun things to look out for in the show.
Should we get into some rapid fire questions?
Let's get into some rapid fire questions here. What's your favorite role that you've ever played?
In terms of acting or in life?
In life.
Life.
Life
it
role.
Could be either one. Okay. Unhinged auditioner.
Yeah, that could be one.
It would not be that. That would. You know what? My favorite role is I love being a showrunner. That's my favorite thing. I love it. I really enjoy it. I feel like that's my lane, and I really would do it forever. I would do it for free.
If you could watch only one, Severance or White Lotus?
Oh, I can't deal with the headspace of Severance. It would have to be White Lotus.
Really?
I think.
They're both so interestingly stressful.
We're both severed right now. You're talking to our innies. So we love Severance.
Talk to me at 5. You will not see or talk to the same person.
I won't remember it at all.
Okay. I'm over in White Lotus land, but maybe I'll dip over.
I love White Lotus, but I'm going to let it all come out before I watch it. I just can't do this week to week thing. It's so stressful. I need to get to the next episode.
It's fair.
All right. What is an unsexy part of the film industry that a lot of people might not know about?
Just I think all of it.
Everything you don't see.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
All of it. I think there's a lot of inner workings, people are in these beautiful costumes and everybody looks so hot and gorgeous, but they're all mic'd up and they've got wires and things around their legs, keeping microphones up, and stuff is taped in between their cleavage. And so I think that's probably a really
and there's 40 people watching this scene, watching them act. There's a whole crew of humans
watching,
just
blinking.
Yes, and there's a crew of people who and understandably, this is their job.
Right.
They there's a guy standing off in the corner with his mouth open, just waiting for the scene to be over, who's in charge of moving the camera. So it's it's very unsexy. People are just okay, it's your baby. And you're actually, I don't think we got that.
Yeah.
And the gaffer's let's keep it moving. So
there's a guy standing holding a mic above his head all day long. Just great shoulders. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, his pit stains and And then people are just eating. People are eating
Nutter Butters, crafty Nutter Butters.
Crafty for days. Yeah.
Everyone's eating. Yeah. It's disgusting.
Everyone's eating.
And for those who don't know, crafty is short form for craft services, which is just basically a table full of food and drinks.
Crap.
Crappy
crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fruit roll-ups,
it's
Gushers,
always like
protein bars.
tuna sandwiches, and people are like
energy
grabbing
drinks,
it out of
random
saran
shit.
wrap.
Yeah.
What surprised me the most is how slow it is being on set. I picture Hollywood as like, oh my God, go, 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 go. Like next scene, blah, blah, blah. No. It takes hours to reset the cameras.
The camera takes so long to reset.
And then you're still doing the same scene. And they're like, oh no, we're just actually getting your coverage from the right side. I'm like, my coverage? Who gives a shit about that side?
And everyone's got to act out the scene even if they're not on camera on there.
The exact same.
Keep doing it.
Yes. It's so slow. I remember first thinking that too, my first time on set, being like a scene, you see a scene on television that's really short. And you're like, oh, this probably took, 15 minutes to film? And it's like, oh no, this took 4.5
half
hours.
Day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
half
this
day.
took forever. When family would come and visit me and watch on set, they'd be like, ooh, set. And then literally 15 minutes in, they'd be like, this is so boring.
Yeah. They're like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
How long can I sit and watch
yeah.
Video Village of them resetting?
I know.
Yeah. For researching a script, which corporate department would you want to do a ride along with?
Help me out here. Give me some examples of
Okay, so like HR, marketing, sales, engineering, like software
legal.
coders, legal, accounting.
Okay, I'm gonna go with sales because I feel like they would be a good time.
That's the right answer.
That is the right
That's
answer.
the only answer.
I feel like they would be a party. I feel like they'd be like, you want to go to Chili's? And I'd be like, yes. Like I feel like it wouldn't really
2 for
be. It
$20.
would just be like hanging out. Yeah. So I would do that. What am I gonna do? Go with legal?
Yeah,
No.
exactly. That's
Like,
boring.
That's
Right.
yeah.
No.
Right.
Every
I would
other
go
department
sales.
sucks.
Only the Lincoln lawyer makes legal seem cool. It's the only thing.
What is your favorite Gen Z slang term?
Well, I will tell you, it is Rizz.
Yeah, has to be.
And
Has to
for
be
a
Rizz.
while, I was a little like, what does this mean? And I wasn't sure, but I heard it and I liked it.
Right.
And I liked how it sounded.
It feels
Like
good
the
to
sound
say.
of that.
It just feels
feels-
good.
Yeah, and
Right.
I was like slowly dropping it into conversation, being like, is this right? And the people I was working with were like, no. But I like it. I think it sounds fun. And it's,
What you're saying
it's-
makes no sense in any language,
Stop it.
English or the human
Yeah.
language.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, it's for charismatic. And I was like, I did not.
Oh.
Now I know.
I just liked how it
okay,
felt
just-
in my mouth.
I
Rizz.
liked it and it was fun.
Is anyone else feeling this is just sort of a Rizzy situation? I don't know. That is not how it works. That is just not how it works. What was the biggest challenge working on set during the pandemic?
Being on set, as you guys know, is really like you're in a small city. It's like almost like an ant farm. Everybody's around doing things and doing their own things. It's a lot of close contact. You have to be in contact with people. So the hardest thing was testing every day and making sure that you were socially distanced. It's such a collaborative medium, television, and you're all in it and creating something together, and you need to be with people. And especially with comedy, like, the nerdiest part of me now will be like, comedy really is physics. There's an energy and you're feeding off of people. And when you're behind shields and socially distanced, you're losing the magic of what that is. So that was the hardest part.
I believe
We
that.
got tested every day.
We got tested every day. And on our thing was like, one person gets sick, we have to shut the whole thing down. We basically lose the project because we didn't have extra days. We didn't have money for extra days. Luckily, no one got sick, but
It was brutal. I was on this show, The Santa Clauses with Tim Allen, and we were testing every day during COVID. And then I got tested and was positive, did not know. And they were like, ma'am, we do need to escort you off the premises. And I was like,
we're going to
escort
take
me?
you out back and we're going to shoot you.
Literally, that was the vibe. And they were like,
We can't have a
gonna walk
zombie
you.
on.
Yeah, they were
that?
like, we're going to walk you to your car. And I was like, I'll go to my car. And they were like, nah, I don't
We're
know.
gonna watch
make
you.
sure.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to walk
Parents
you.
get the gun. Yeah, ma'am. We're gonna head over here for a quick second.
No, we're just gonna end it for you. And I would be like, okay.
We're gonna handle this. Yeah.
Yeah.
What role would you write for Natalie that she was born to play?
Okay, you know what, Natalie? I think you would crush.
Oh, tell me.
Hear me out. I think you would do really great on. Did you like a never been kissed vibe?
Totally.
Of like you go back and you're like, or like, did you ever watch the show Younger with Sutton Foster, where like she goes into the workforce and she plays a younger person and is like cool, and everybody's like, who are you? But really, you're like, I don't belong here. I'm older.
Right.
I
It's
think
me.
you would do great at that. Like
We could
a
call it
been
Never
kissed.
Would Kiss.
Yeah.
It'd be perfect. I just never would kiss.
I had a podcast with my best friend called 2 Solid Sixes. We just call it like it is. It was a dating podcast.
That's a fantastic title.
So I do think, that makes sense.
I think it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Can I ask you the same question for Ross? What role would you write for Ross?
Yes. Okay,
Sort of a
Ross.
feel good, sort of just like guy you root for.
Hey, let her
Okay,
answer.
all right, yeah.
I would write for you. I think, okay, hear me out. you know, Robin Williams and Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
But I think you would be like the young, like inspiring teacher that like has the group of kids where it's like, okay, it's a little different than Dead Poet Society, but like you've got this like group of kids who don't want to learn. And
Young
Ross is
sailors.
like,
I'm like Coach Carter.
Yes, I think he would be great at that. And it's like he's a single guy and he's living in Pittsburgh and he's got to get these kids like to learn. I got to get these kids. And you do. I think that would be a great role for you.
I love that. Wow.
I've been actually waiting for my chance to give a halftime speech or like some sort of like pregame speech. My actual secret dream is to play a baseball player in a movie, some sort of athlete in a movie.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Or a war movie because I'm a freak like that.
Keep dreaming.
Oh yeah.
Keep dreaming.
That's why I make my own skits with those things in play. So I cast myself. I actually do get back to myself.
Our last question, and you've been amazing, is where can people follow you? Where can they watch the Z Suite? Tell us everything.
Yeah, plug anything, everything in your world.
Okay. Everybody can watch the Z Suite on Tubi. You literally search it on your TV or tubitv.com. It's free. You can watch the Z Suite there. You can binge all the episodes. I am on Instagram with my full legal name, which is Katie, Katie, Claire, Claire, O'Brien, Obrien is my Instagram handle.
Final B question. What are there any projects coming up that you're working on that you're excited about that you can check in on?
Yes, I am developing some stuff that I'm really excited about right now. Nothing that I can like concretely share about, but they're comedies and they're different than I love the Z Suite and it's great and silly, but there's sort of this like high concept comedy idea that I'm very excited about.
Love it.
Ooh, well, we'll check back in after that.
Yes. Well, thank you for unveiling the truth behind Hollywood. Thanks for joining us today. This was a very fun and funny conversation.
This was great.
Thank you.
We're going to do our own little earthquake simulator when we drop here. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.
What a riveting conversation.
I mean, I think Hollywood is so fascinating to so many people. It's just also not that sexy once you're in it.
No, and it's such a world that like no one really knows about until you're on it.
Right. It's so gatekept. It has been so gatekept for so long, and the internet's obviously made it a lot more democratized. And also the industry's collapsing.
That's true.
In so many ways.
That's another sidebar to the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, all these agencies, all these middlemen, all this just like fluff. It's wild to see, but I think it's still fundamentally as a creative, you're just like that's the big leagues, right? You want to make stuff at the highest level, and that's still considered the best.
I remember being on set for Sales Are Dope, and it was my first time on set, and I was like, this is just such a fulfilling, exciting experience.
Totally.
Being directed, having a giant camera on you. Like there's no feeling quite like it. We can film ourselves 20,000 times in our bedrooms or our offices, and it feels nothing like being on set.
Right. And you're just like, you get really close with people. You're spending 12 plus hours a day with these people.
I was living with you.
Yeah.
Guys, exciting new guest on set. Mochi Katrina Samante is here. My bestie came. We needed another body to record a bit today.
Speaking
and
of
she said,
co-founders,
I'll be here. This is my co-founder of Expand VA. She is
a real bootlicker.
She's an absolute beast. And by the time this airs, you might be starting a new job.
Whoa, we're manifesting.
Whoa, she's a beast. She was actually on Demoted. Listen to our episode together. We did a solo up together. And hopefully you'll be back on another podcast.
That's why you recognize her. One day it's just going to be me and Mochi doing our episode.
Solo up, Mochi and Ross. Guys, I have to tell you about this game-changing product I used before a night out of drinking.
Tell me everything.
Now that we saw Katrina, her and I last weekend, we went out. We partied.
You did.
We partied hard.
There were Instagram stories to prove it.
Yeah. But what did I do before we went out?
It's called pre-alcohol. Z-Biotics.
Let's face it, after a night of drinks, I just don't bounce back like I used to.
I'm 35, almost 36, and I feel that deeply.
After your baby shower?
Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic.
It was invented by PhD scientists, so you know Ross and I are going to absolutely hit that.
Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut.
It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your next rough day.
Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme that breaks down this byproduct.
Just remember, pre-alcohol should be your first drink of the night.
Drink responsibly and you will feel better tomorrow.
So go to zbiotics.com/demoted to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code DEMOTED at checkout.
ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason at all, they will refund you, no questions asked.
Remember to head to zbiotics.com/demoted and use code demoted at checkout for 15% off.
Hollywood, bright lights, big city. It's hard to see.
Big city, bright lights, speak all day and all night, baby, you're a rock star.
I just realized you do look like a rock star right now. What are you wearing on your eyes?
These are my Gooder sunglasses. Thank you for asking.
Wait a second. Are those the lightweight and comfortable, 100% polarized, no slip sunglasses from Gooder?
Yeah, no bounce, vibrant colors, sleek styles. That's what I'm talking about here, Ross.
I mean, look at my eyes. Are they not vibrant?
Here's the thing. I don't want to invest a ton of money in glasses.
Right.
I like to change them up. I like to play sports in them. I like to play pickleball with them. I like to take them on trips. I like to throw them in the bottom of my bag, not think about them.
I'm on set. They're like, Ross, you need to take off those glasses. I take them off. I throw them off to the side because I am not a delicate person.
And that's okay because these sunglasses are $25 a pair.
That's right. They're so affordable. You don't have to worry about breaking them or losing them.
There's a 1-year warranty and 30-day free returns.
You should get a pair for every occasion.
You really should.
If you need a new pair of Sunny G's, Gooder is giving Demoted listeners free shipping. So you can go to Gooder, GOODR.com/demoted and use code demoted for free shipping.
Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Again, that's gooder.com/demoted and use code demoted for free shipping.
Let's do a little promo demo, get people out of here. This is a long episode, a lot of content, a lot of piping hot fire tent. So Promoted, Demoted, 5 a.m. call times. And tell people what a call time is.
A call time is when you look at the call sheet the night before and then it tells you when you have to be on set. And my call time for Sales or Dope was 5:30 every morning, 5:30, because I had to do obviously 2 hours of makeup.
Right.
We were doing special effects makeup at that phase of my life. So 5:30 a.m. call times for me going to be really tough. Going to be hard to fit in my workout class. Going to be hard to do the things I want to do because then you wrap at like 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And the call time, that doesn't account for like your time on set.
No.
It's when the first camera rolls.
Yeah.
Is when your day starts. So if cameras are up at 9, I'm just there for 3 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours, like doing whatever you got to do. And a call sheet also shows like the weather. It shows where the entrance to the set is. It shows each scene by time. So you can see like the map of what they're trying to get done that day when you're involved. And it's really the call time is obviously just like when you got to get there, not when you start shooting.
Got to get there, be there, got to get styled.
Promoted, Demoted. And this one happens all the time. Yelling Eureka when you make a discovery.
That is me every single day, dude.
Right.
I can't stop screaming Eureka.
Right. You're writing a script. Like, what's the joke? You find it, Eureka.
Eureka. I'm constantly looking for little hidden treasures too, just throughout the city.
You're
really.
very Indiana Jones.
I'm always looking and on the hunt. So when I finally do make that discovery, I am going to shout Eureka. Promoted.
As one does. Promoted.
Promoted or demoted, burning the roof, parentheses, ceiling of your mouth because you're hungry and impatient.
I'm going to demote it because it sucks, but I'm going to do it again.
I can't learn. I'll never learn. I'm hungry.
It's like when the waiter or waitress comes up and they're like, careful.
This plate's hot.
Oh, hot.
Immediately. Guys, it really is hot, just so you know.
Yeah. Oh, they weren't kidding.
Wow. It's like a skillet. It's like a flame. It's
like a fajita skillet. Yeah. Just absolutely
I will be touching that plate and I will be burning the roof of my mouth.
I just need to find out.
Yeah.
How hot it is.
Do you want to ask me about ear seeding?
Yeah. What is ear seeding? Ear seeding. Ear, EAR, seeding, like plant seeds. What does that mean?
So ear seeding is something that I just did on Monday where this like wellness spa studio, they placed little like what appeared to be rocks in my ear, 3 of them. One was for balance, one was for anxiety, one was for TMJ. And they're like, your ear might hurt a little bit later. I'm okay, sure. I'm tough. Me after an hour. Ow! Oh my God, it hurts so bad. I'm texting my friends who were in the class who also got ear seeding because we all got to go down together. Are you guys' ears hurting? No, literally, I'm in so much pain. I'm looking at my ear. It's fiery hot.
I'm sorry,
red.
I'm deaf.
They said
I went deaf.
No, they said you have to keep them in for 2 weeks and then they'll fall off.
Oh.
What is this, a temporary tattoo? Okay. So I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to feel like this for 2 weeks. Like I just did this to myself.
ESPN wrote an article about how LeBron James spends $2 million a year on his body. You might be second.
No.
You might be second place. You might be second.
I am second place. Ear seeding was free. It was a complimentary thing at this wellness studio I went to. Anyway, I had my mom go with tweezers and pull them out. So my balance, anxiety, and TMJ has never been worse.
Right. I was wondering why you had that limp.
I know.
They took the rock out of my ear.
It's the ear seeding.
That's what that is, people. I learned something here today.
Wouldn't recommend.
Sounds awful.
Terrible.
Demoted. Okay, last but not least for Promoted Demoted.
Leaving a comment on Spotify. Which I will read from Nicholas Anderson Shaw 9 days ago. It's so funny because I think that same thought as Ross all the time. Just hoping that one day someone meets me at a bar and just says, whoa, you've got it, kid. Here's a crap ton of money so you can keep being amazing.
Oh, that story. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Ross said his dream, to remind you if you didn't listen to that episode, was like, I just want someone to believe in me. I meet them at a bar. They give me a crap ton of money.
Right. It's like I'm either sitting alone at a bar or I'm like golfing solo and I'm just like some random, just really important people come up to me like, look, son. Like,
you have it.
You got it. So if you need money, you want millions of dollars, I'm ready to give it to you right now. I believe in you.
He pulls out his checkbook.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know you. I just feel you. And your vibes are saying, you got it.
And we'll keep waiting. We'll keep waiting for someone to believe in us.
And I'm still waiting for that. Given that we've taken all of your time here, shoot a movie with that like button.
Yeah. I mean, audition with that like button. Bring it with you as your emotional support like button.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to fund the subscribe button.
Pretend you're in an earthquake.
Showrun it. Yeah, pretend you're an earthquake and then thank it.
Subscribe button.
Exactly. So as always, questions, comments, concerns, contact at demotedpodcast.com. Send us a DM. If you have other guests that you want us to bring on the pod,
leave a comment on Spotify. Leave us a review. That's the only thing that wakes us up in the morning.
Say interesting posts. If we run out of reviews to read, then we're shutting down the pod. So it's just
over.
Letting you know.
I'm just saying, if you haven't left a review at this point, stop listening. And go write a review.
Yes. So with that, everyone, we will see you next time on
Demoted.